2015 has already probably been a great year for some of you carp anglers out there. On a personal note, 44-pound personal best common last week. My first fish from this session is that beast at 42 pound 10 ounces. A real bruiser. It's been a great year already in 2015. Shimano have got some great products, so without further ado, let's go and meet the boys from Team Tribal. We've got the big hitter, Mike Dagnall, aka Muscles. 298 yards this guy has put a lead. No fish is safe no matter where they swim. We've got the stalker, Roy Russell, or Jimmy Nail, as he's known to his very close friends. He's up trees, he's in bushes, he has found spots the carp haven't even visited themselves yet. Then there's a tactician, Dave Furridge, or Vicky Pollard as he's known in Bristol. He knows everything about any single rig, he eats Rice Krispies and he thinks that garden peas talk to him. That is why he's the tactician. We've got the close quarter expert, Starving Marvin Waite. What this boy proves is you don't have to cast to the moon to catch big carp. And finally, there's little old me. I like to keep things neat, tidy and clean, and I'd like to catch a few along the way. That's the team. Let's take a look at the playing surface. Home Fen Fisheries over in Cambridge. Absolutely amazing venue, and the hysteria amongst the team to actually come on here was something like I've never experienced before. It was almost like going to a really big fish venue in France. But we're here, I've plotted up in the Sunken Tree. It's a swim that I do know quite a lot about. I've done quite a lot of digging because I know quite a few people that have been on here. The spod mix has gone out and I've put 20 spoms, not overkill, I just want to get a bite. And I think it's worth mentioning that I always tend to bait up, certainly on day ticket lakes, around 2 to 4 in the afternoon. Everybody deems the morning time up to around lunchtime a good bite time. I think that's the same on most lakes. So the last thing you want to be doing, and purely from an etiquette point of view, is actually ruining your chances of getting a bite. So try and leave the swim alone from first light until lunchtime-ish. If you have a bite short, recast. But on the basis that you're going to remember how much bait you've put in, just try to think, has there been loads of fish activity? Have you had lots of liners? If so, there's probably a good chance that the fish have cleared you out. So if you think you can get away with it, just put another 3 or 4 spoms out. Just enough to get a bite if anything's passing through. So that was the plan of attack and it worked. And obviously the first bite was a 42 pounder, so things couldn't really have got off to a better start. Afternoon is a key, get them out, leave everything still for the evening.
My name's Dave Furridge, I'm from Bristol and I'm a project manager. I've been around the game for quite a long time. I've caught lots and lots of fish and now I really like fishing for big fish. I'm very technically minded because I like to play about with rigs, I like testing things. I'm always trying to come up with better ways of hooking the fish. I try to do my own thing all the time and I think if you can catch fish by doing your own thing, I think you get self-satisfaction out of it. But I've got a good fish on at the moment. It's still about 40-50 yards out. I had it about 20 minutes ago. I'm on the line I'm using, which is aerofluorocarbon in 15 pound 0.35. Had the fish on a white chocolate pop-up. I'm using this line because the water at the moment is crystal clear. And I'm not fishing that far out, I'm only fishing about 75, 80 yards out. And fluorocarbon, as you know, is pretty invisible in the water. But the fish has just gone through a weed bed, I can feel the line grating on the rod. It's turned its head, I can feel it, I know the fish is still on there. I can feel the rod top knocking and just feel the power of the fish. Still taking a little bit of line off the clutch. Because of the line I'm using, it's fluorocarbon, when it does go in a weed bed, there's no stretch in the line, so you've still got direct contact with the fish. Oh, he's kicking now. That should be clear, that weed now. I'm trying to get the fish up. Well, that's been a nightmare, that's been a proper fight. But I think now it's past the weed beds. and it's not too far from the net. Just go nice and steady, nice loose clutch, and let the fish tire itself out now close in. Once it takes that first gulp of air, then hopefully that's game over. Should be all over now. The fish is on top, just nice and steady. In the net, yes. Happy days. Well, that one's in the net. That was an epic battle. Fish fought really, really hard, and it just goes to show what you can do. If you've got the right piece of kit, well-balanced kit, the right line, you can get fish at the snags, at the weed. It's not too much of an issue. There you go. 41 pounds 12. Beautiful, stunning fish. Fought really, really hard. One of the hardest battles I've had in a long time carp fishing. There was a few hairy moments in there. Fish got caught up in the weed a few times, but because of the equipment I was using, I was managed to get the fish in safely without any problems. So what I'd like to do is go through with you a range of the Shimano lines, and then you can make your own mind up to see what you actually use. The first line I'd like to talk to you about is the Air Specimen line. This is a very, very strong line. It's got a medium stretch on it, very, very good knot strength. It's bulletproof, bomb-proof. You can put this onto any reel and fish at any time and anywhere. Right, the next line I want to talk to you about is the Tribal Carp. As you can see, it's a great olive colour. It's fantastic for fishing clear waters with weed. The line will virtually disappear. It's a very, very tough line, got great abrasive resistance, and as you can see, the line is very, very supple. So it will just fly off your spool when you want to cast a long way. Right, so the next line I want to talk about is the Technium. This is our top of range line. This is the Technium Invisitech. As you can see, the line is actually a translucent colour. This makes it virtually invisible in any type of water. The line is very, very tough, very strong, got a great knot strength on it. It's also only got about 12% stretch, which means you can cast this a long way and you've still got a very, very good bite indication. As you can see, it's a very, very supple line, and it's also something else which is unique about the line. It has a UV coating on the outside, which stops the sun from deteriorating the line as fast. Also in the range is the Technium Tournament. I've used this line for donkey's years myself. I find the low stretch in this line, exactly the same as the Invisitech, is just great for bite indication, great for playing the fish. This line also, like the Invisitech, sinks like a brick. It's got great knot strength in it. Again, it's fantastic for long range fishing. Most of my fishing over the recent years has been long range, and that's why I use this line. I've got total 100% faith in this line, and I can honestly say now this line has never let me down to this day. The last line I want to talk to you about is the fluorocarbon. As you can see, I had a fish on it just now, got me out of trouble. Managed to get the fish through the weed without any issues whatsoever. We all know that fluorocarbon sinks like a brick. Our fluorocarbon is very thin for its break and strain, very, very supple and nice and easy to cast. Without a doubt, this is the best fluorocarbon I've ever used over the years. We're just about coming to the end of the bite time in the morning. And now the middle rod's ripped off again, same spot. Just after I just spotted about 6 spodfuls out. I had a couple of bleeps while I was putting the spod on there. I do that quite often. It's like a dinner bell to the fish. The fish feels good, it's taken a lot of line, but you never know until we actually get the fish in. Yeah, I'm gonna have to carry on trying to get out. The fish is trying to get round the corner. And I've got gravel close in. I don't want to shave the line on the gravel. When you're moving, when you're walking, we'll try and keep a straight line on the fish. Try and keep the line tight. Just remember the fluorocarbon I'm using hasn't got that much stretch in it. Yes! This one was caught over a bed of crushed and chopped tiger nut boilies with a little white source fluoro pop-up. Beautiful colours. £33.
As you can see, we've moved. Now you may think I'm absolutely off my trolley because I had a 42 pounder out the swim next door, but first light this morning there was a load of fish crashing up against the snags. So I've got everything out, flopped the rig out, and it's gone within about 15 minutes. And it was an absolute brute, and it was £39, 12 ounces. So the move has definitely paid off, and I really do think I'm going to get more bites here. So what it proves is a rig in the right place, no matter what the depth, will get you a bite. And after 15 minutes I completely expected it, to be honest. But to be that big is amazing. It's a proper unit of a carp as well. I'm just going to talk about the kit that I'm using in this situation, and I think it's very important that I go through this. Now, snag fishing isn't my bag. I openly admit that. It's very hairy, everything is lock solid, but there's certain things that you have to do to make sure, one, you get the fish out, and two, that the fish is actually safe. So, as you can see, everything is rock solid. So we'll start at the back. Those butts are firmly into those backrests. It cannot move, it cannot pull it out of there. But the rod itself, it's a TX9, it's a 12 foot 3¼ but it's a very soft tip, so it's a very, very forgiving rod. So in the position where you're lifting into the fish and you've got to walk back, you want to just really, really tease them away from the snags, this rod is perfect for that. Very well balanced X-Aero bait runner. It's an absolute dream to play fish on. So we'll move slightly up the rod. The line, it's 15-pound tribal carp, so there's not loads of stretch in it, but there's enough absorption along with the soft rod that really, really aids in getting those fish away from them snags, which is the main point that you want to get to. Moving slightly forward, we come to the K-guide. You can see it's behind the alarm, so in the event of it even pulling that out the butt rest, which it won't, the butt eye is going to jam against the alarm to stop it moving forward. So everything's lock solid, bait runners are off, nothing is going to move here, but you've got to be on that rod quickly. Pick it up, nice soft rod, and walk back. Perfect situation for snag fishing. While we're on the subject of kit, I want to run you through a setup that I've been using extensively over the last probably 12 months at least. Now this is a Velocity 12 foot 2¾ rod, and I've twinned this with a DL 6000 bait runner, and it really has taken me all the way back to when I started carp fishing. Now this whole setup is very, very competitively priced, but I really want to focus on the usability of this rod. Now this range of rods come in everything from 10 foot, £3, all the way up to 13 foot, £3.5. So there's something in the range of Velocity to suit every single angling situation out there. So I've gone through the test gears. I'm just going to quickly look at some of the bullet points that make this rod unquestionably, in its bracket, the best rod out there on the market. Now you've got a full Japanese shrink, you've got a very aesthetically pleasing reel seat, line clip, 3K weave on the bottom 12 inches of the section. Moving up the rod, 50mm guide and a 16mm anti-frap tip ring. Now, pound for pound, this is unquestionably the best rod in its price bracket on the market, in my opinion. I touched briefly on the reel that I've got on this Velocity. Now, this is a DL 6000 bait runner. They also come in a 10, they all come with spare spools, and there isn't one carp angler in the world that doesn't know about the brand bait runner. It's a beautifully engineered piece of kit. You've got the bait runner facility on the back, you've got a beautifully balanced twin handle, and just like the Velocity, it's brilliant on price.
Hi, I'm Mike Dagnall, I'm from Redditch. I was brought up on the Northwest Canals and that fishing with my dad, and then I went into match fishing for a long time. In the last 5 or 6 years I've been carp fishing. I've fished a lot of different places and that, and my biggest fish in the UK is 49.8 and my biggest fish in France is 72.6. I like long range fishing because I was a keen tournament caster for a number of years and represented England at the World Championships a few times. If you can fish comfortably at 160 yards, you can fish anywhere from you to 160 yards. If you can only cast 80, you can only fish half the amount of water, and at times it does play a big part. Check out this stunner. That's the thing with home fen. You've got margins and bars to fish to, little quiet corners, or what I like to fish over there, nice open water. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to give you a few tips to help you get out there and hopefully put a few more fish on the bank. Point one's the grip. You need to get a good solid grip of the rod. The way I do it, I put my little finger behind the reel and 3 fingers in front and get a good grip of the rod. That gives you more control during the cast. Step 2 is the stance. I always say, stand as though you're going to punch a punch bag. That gives you a good solid platform to cast off. Step 3 is poise. If you notice, I've got my arms locked out, which creates a bigger arc, and transfer your weight onto your back foot. Step 4, try and keep your right arm as rigid as you can, and as you go through the cast, transfer your weight and pull down with your left. And finally, you've got to have ultimate faith in your kit. That's why I use Shimano. This is the kit I use for long range fishing. It's a tribal TX9 intensity rod. It's 13 foot long, it's got low standoff K-guides on it. It's got a 3K weave going into the tip section and then petering out towards the tip, which gives it a lot faster recovery. It's a 3 3/4 test curve rod. It's got a lovely progressive action, but powerful. I can cast to the horizon with it, and it's also a joy to play fish on. Shimano reels are used by many top casters and that, and there's a very good reason for this. This is the Ultegra, and it's got slow oscillation. What this means is it's got 40 lays up and down, which when your lead's going out, it's causing less friction on your line to enable the lead to fly further. And they're perfect for long range fishing. And then we've got the Rolls Royce for casting reels, and this is the Aerotechnium Magnesium. This has got, believe it or not, 100 lays up and down, which means that when the lead's going out, the line just peels off the spool effortlessly, causing less friction than any other reel on the market. It's made of magnesium, which is the lightest material to keep the strength that is required for modern day carp fishing. If you want the Rolls Royce of reels, that's the kiddie. With the Shimano reels, you can adjust the profile of your line quite simply. You just remove and add washers, which are underneath the spool. And what this does, you can get the line to suit your own personal fishing. This is a mono spool, so I add a washer which tapers the line towards the back, which makes it come off effortlessly. But for a fluorocarbon line, I'd remove a washer to have it taper in the opposite way, because fluorocarbon's a lot springier than any mono, and it causes less problems when you're fishing. This is a simple solution to adjust the line lay for your own personal fishing.
My name's Roy Russell. I come from Staffordshire and I'm fishery manager at Badenall Fisheries. I've been fishing from an early age, being brought up on the canals. That's where all my stalking and walking up and down the banks first started. I just like that one-on-one, trying to catch fish, close up and personal, on my terms sometimes, either off the top or right in the edge. If I could only do one type of fishing for the rest of my life, it'd have to be surface fishing. You know, it's totally different to sitting behind alarms, waiting for something to happen. You can actually make something happen.
Found the spot, trickle bit of baiting. It's been out about an hour and it's just tore off. It's kited right the way round to my left, just a heavy plodding fish. It tried to do me on there's a plateau about 30-40 yards out. He went straight for that and tried to do me on top. But I've managed to get in the deeper water now, so hopefully, fingers crossed, it's mine. You got him, Griff, you've got him. My first fish from Alm Fen, 34.5. I'm here with the tribal crew. This is the first of hopefully many fish of this stamp which there's loads of in here to be fair. Seen some big fish today, got fish out in front of me, and I just took this one out of the margins on a little sauce trimmed down barrel, tipped with a bit of corn on top. Happy days.
Right, since we've been here, a lot of the lads have been sat behind static rods. Me being Mr. Russell as normal, I've been off on my toes around the lake for the majority of the time here, to be fair, looking for fish in this crystal clear water, and I've managed to wintle a few out. Early morning, late evening was the best times for me to actually get some bites. If you're into stalking, which I am big time, this little setup is absolutely perfect if you want to go at it. The rod here is a 9-foot Stalker STC. It's a 4-piece 3-pound test curve, so it has got some grunt if you need to get some fish out of some weed or away from some snags or away from some lilies. Coupled with it, this is an ST 6000 RB. Perfect little reel. You don't need a big pit reel for chucking leads 100 yards because you're only literally under your feet or a rod length out in the margins. As far as the line's concerned, this is 15-pound Shimano Invisitech. Strong as steel, to be fair. I've been using this for a number of years, never had any problems with it. If you're stalking in the margins or close to any obstacles, you do need to get them fish away and you do need to rely on something very, very strong. And this stuff, the Invisitech, is spot on for the job. Not the biggest fish in the lake compared to what's been caught already, but more than welcome at £20.12. Caught off the margin spot again, about 7 foot from the bank, on a little sauce barrel, tipped off with a bit of corn. But if this was the only fish I'd have caught, I'd have been more than happy. It's fishing at the end of the day. Happy to catch.
Right, we need a net. He's not a bad fish. The stamp of fish in this lake is incredible. He's twisting and turning. You don't mind him kicking off under the rod tip. You just got to get him away from them snags initially. He's another good fish. It's kind of ironic to say that at home fen because they all seem to be absolute whackers. He's ready, and there he goes. Let's get him out. Okay, here we go. That's the fruits of that little snaggy tussle. I've just weighed him up at £30 4 ounces. Now, it's still an amazing fish, but ironically, this is the standard size here at home fen. Just off that snaggy spot just in front, lots and lots of bait out there I put last night. But something very, very special happened at first light this morning. The lake was flat calm. It was very, very carpy as the trendy saying goes. And it's sitting in the sling down there at the front. So we'll slip him back and get that very special fish out. Sometimes even I can be reduced to a quivering wreck. And this is one of those moments. My heart is absolutely pounding out of its chest because of what's in here. So we'll attempt to hold what is the biggest fish I've ever landed in the UK. And I can't believe I'm about to say this, but there is 56.5 pounds of home fen mirror. I'm just absolutely blown away. Never do I ever expect to catch the biggest fish in the lake, and certainly not when the pressure's on for a DVD. And it was a very dogged fight, but again, I just didn't realise it was going to be this fish. Caught over a load of red ammo and tiger nut bait with a bit of hemp. Little 10mm white sauce pop-up on a supple, stiff hinge rig, and he didn't like picking that up, I'm sure. but weirdly he didn't sort of fly off. It was a very, what we would all deem as a big fish bite, but because I was locked up, I was straight on it. And it's nice to be woken from your slumber with an English 56.5 pounder. But what a carp, what a lake. Just absolutely blown away, to be honest. I'm sure the emotion will set in when we've slipped him back. So let's get him in there. Well, I mentioned the rig when I was holding up that beast of a carp earlier, so it would only be right to run through the rig that I've been catching those few fish on this session. Now, it's a rig that's very, very in vogue at the moment. It's the stiff hinge rig. We'll start at the top of the rig with a standard leg clip system, one that will eject, so one that locks the swivel, which in this situation you want the lead off. You know, you're fishing up against snags, you don't want anything that's going to hinder that. So a lead clip that can release the lead is absolutely vital. Next, we've got the lead itself. That's a 4-ounce flat pair. Now, obviously, you wouldn't put anything round or anything remotely round, in my opinion, on there, on that sort of large sloping shelf. You may get a grip at one stage, but because you're fishing a tight line, any slight movement could move that lead off, roll straight down into 30-odd foot, which it is in this bay. A little ring swivel, just to help it pivot, to reduce the tangles. I think that is an important thing as well. And next we get down to the bones of the rig. Now this is almost a reverse stiff hinge because this is a supple boom section. It's a coated braid. I don't want nothing too stiff, so I don't want the old amnesia or that type of material on that section because I want it to lend itself to any debris on the bottom it might fall on. A couple of bits of putty. Again, they are absolutely immaculately applied. Now a little tip, when you're rubbing your putty on or pouring it onto there, your fingers go a bit sticky, so if you just lick them slightly. I know that may sound really, really anal, but it's just perfection. Why not do everything you can when you're tying rigs to the best of your ability? Moving down again, you've got a ring swivel to aid the rig to spin when the fish picks it up or approaches it from any angle. Some people use a loop. I just prefer to tie it. One, it's easier, and two, I just like the way it sits. So we move on to the actual chod section of the rig. That's 25 pounds stiff material. I like to use as stiff a material as I can get back through the eye with a knotless knot. You'll notice there that's a crimp. I've crimped my chods or stiff hinges for about 6-7 years now, and as long as you crimp correctly, they will never let you down. So as long as that crimp is completely level in the jaws, give it a good squeeze, and then always test your rigs after. Just any slight pressure, the crimp will move. So as long as you put a bit of pressure on, if you crimped it correctly, it'll never let you down. So moving down to the hook, that's a size 5 chod type hook. Now a size 5 with a 10mm bait will just balance perfectly. The weight of the rig will pull it down, so you don't need to apply any putty, as you've noticed there's none on there. If you're going to use a bigger hook or a bigger pop-up, you will have to apply putty or play around whichever manufacturer's gear you use. You may find that some hooks are heavier than others, so you can get away with it, but in my instance, a 10mm dynamite pop-up will just sink that rig perfectly. A little bait screw there. Again, a lot of people are really, really old-fashioned and say, well, you know, they're sort of a novice way of doing it. I like to tie mine on. Well, that's fine if you want to tie them on. Do you know why I use them? Because they're quicker. So if you're using a cork ball, just drill a little hole first as a pilot hole to help it in, and you're away. And then all I'll do on that is just squeeze a little nugget of foam. And what I do, I put it in from reversed, so I'm keeping that bait at the bottom of the loop. So once the foam has come off, it's cocked and ready to go. It's an absolutely amazing rig, and a lot of people catch a lot of big fish on it, as I've done in this session. So ignore it at your peril.
I'm Marvin Waite and I'm from Sheffield. I got into carping when I was about 17, just solely carp fishing, just fishing anywhere really that there's a fish with a bit of an interesting story or some ugly fish that nobody likes to catch. I'll go and catch it. I love short range fishing because it gives you a good opportunity to learn from your quarry, learn a lot from carp, learn how they react to rigs, see how they react to different coloured baits, different baiting situations, so you can learn a lot more from just casting out 100 yards and without feeling it with a marker and stuff. So yeah, close range for me all the way.
Here we have a very lively 24-pounder. I'm down at home fen with the rest of the team, but as you might notice, the background's a little bit different. That's because I'm on Poacher's Pool. It's a small intimate water which suits my fishing down to the ground. I'm just about to get my left-hand rod out, which is on the nice tree line on the far margin over there. I'm going to cast out a standard snowman setup. That's made up of a nice coated braid with no break, as I don't like the movement it gives. I like it to be a little bit stiffer, like an extension of the shank. That's made up of a 15mm sauce freezer bait, a little white sauce fluoro pop-up, and I'll be clipping on a small PVA stocking made up of crushed sauce boilies, some krill ground bait and some pellets. It's a nice balanced setup. I'm going to clip a little bit of PVA foam. That stops the air from tangling around the hook and also gives me a marker for when I'm baiting up on the clear patch. That's the rig. Now let's get it out onto the spot. Whenever you're casting to a feature such as the tree line on the far margin, it's very important to clip up. I've already clipped up, but the main thing about clipping your rods up is to ensure you cast from the same position. I'm using the end of this sleeper as my marker, so I know each time I cast, I'm always starting in the same way. So let's get the rod out. Just feeling it down now. In the crosswind it's difficult, but I can still do it. Now that rig is fishing. All I'm waiting for now is my little bit of foam to pop up. I can walk back down the bank, catapult some baits in, job's a good one. My next rod is going to go down this margin. The wind's been hacking in here now, so the fish are definitely going to follow it. And there's a lovely gravel strip at the bottom of the shelf that I'm just going to give a little underarm flick, place it on the gravel shelf. I don't need a PVA bag, but what I'm still going to put on is a little bit of foam, just so I've got a marker to bait up. Let's get the rod out. Just control the line with my finger, feel it down. Perfect, there's a lovely depth of water there. Make sure the line's not on those reeds. Let it sink. We're fishing. The foam's popped up, so I'll sprinkle some bait on it. And that's it, we're rocking. For my style of fishing, it's important to have a nice, balanced, lightweight setup. And that's why I'm currently using the Shimano 10-foot Velocity 3-pound test curve rods, and I've balanced those up with the 10,000 DL bait runners. Let's take a look at the rod in particular. It's 10 foot, but that doesn't mean it's a shrunk down version. It's got a full length handle, which helps, obviously, if you need to punch a bag out or maybe a stick or something like that, 80 to 100 yards, I can do that. The other benefits of having a 10-foot rod is the pack down size. Obviously, you've got two 5-foot sections. You can be quick off the block. I can take them to work in the back of the car, no worries. A lot easier for storage. And the other benefits, double them up with a small bait runner. They're a lot lighter, so I can grab them and go. I've chosen to pair up the 10-foot Velocity rods with some lovely 10,000 DL bait runners. For me, these are a perfect balanced setup. It's a quarter of a turn, so there's no free spool turbo lag. You're in direct contact with the fish, so you can just bang them fish straight in, no worries. Well, how's about that for 23 pound of hard fighting Poacher Pool mirror? Absolute stunning fish, gave me a real battle, but in typical fashion, just like buses, two come along reasonably in the same time. So let's put this one back and have a look at the other one. Well, here's the stunning breeze block of a carp, £30, 4 ounces of him. It's the third fish of the trip down on the Poacher's Pool on the Unfen complex. Really enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.
Right, the bait bit. What we're going to do now, the whole of the Team Tribal are going to talk through their favourite dynamite bait and why they use it. So, me up first. Now mine is the Tiger Nut, or the Tiger Nut range, and I use it because I trust it. That is the bottom line. It's caught loads and loads of fish, and the first instance I saw this was at Wellington Country Park, and it totally dominated the lake. So it was an easy choice. A couple of years have gone by, and then we've introduced the red ammo. And I was a bit reluctant to change at first because I caught so many big carp from all over the place on the Tiger Nut. But I tested it the very first batch, very first time out, a couple of 20-pounders from Manor down at Linear. So it's a tricky day ticket lake, and I caught straight away. So I instantly became confident, if you like. Now you can see the difference. I've always been primarily a boilie angler. One, spotting is messy, like spotting over zigs. No, it goes all over your back. So boilies for me is the one. So there you can clearly see the difference. The red ammo is exactly the same base mix and additives as the Tiger Nut, but the digestibility has slightly changed because of the vanilla palatin that's been introduced. Now the colour is slightly different, that's a very washed out pink, and I like that as well because it is almost washed out as soon as it goes in, so it's not going to be suspicious to the sort of wily old bigger carp that I like to fish for. So there you have it, my favourite, red ammo and Tiger Nut mixed. Now let's go and see what the rest of the team prefer.
I'm predominantly a boilie angler. I use boilies for all my fishing in some form or other. At the moment, I'm using monster Tiger Nut boilies. There's not a carp in the country that doesn't like Tiger Nuts, but unfortunately on some of the lakes they're banned. So it's a great way of using them. There's more Tiger Nut in this boilie than any other boilie out there at the moment. So what I'll do with these boilies, I like to use them chopped up. I crush these boilies up. The reason I like to do this is because I'll spod this out. When this hits the water, this will float down irregularly in the water layers, so we'll get a bigger spread on the lake bed. So, you know, it also releases the flavours a lot quicker as well, and all the attractors. And I'm a great believer in using chop boilies rather than whole boilies. Along with the boilies, I use chopped Tiger Nuts where I'm allowed. Now these Tiger Nuts here are prepared in a jar, there's no preservatives with them. If you do find that you don't actually use the whole jar, then you can take them back home and freeze them. I've got no issues with refreezing particles, and sometimes, especially hemp, I'll refreeze that up to about 2 or 3 times. So I'll mix this in with the boilie. I'll then use hemp. Now there isn't a fish in the country that doesn't like hemp. It's full of natural goodness, it's full of amino acids, it's got loads of fatty foods in it, it's got loads and loads of protein. I've also got a couple of other products that I like to use into my mix. Dynamite are doing a new frenzied hemp seed with snails. Now, again, this is something which is brand new. There's no other company doing it, and it's just a natural food. And we all know that carp loves snails. Once I put all this mix into the bucket, I'll then add some Monster Tiger Nut liquid. Now, this can be used to rehydrate boilies, and I'm doing virtually that when I'm pouring it into my mix. One thing I would say to you is I'll use probably about 50 ml of this in with about 2 or 3 kilos. I'll mix it all up, but I'll leave it for a couple of hours before I actually use it, just so it's all soaked into the ingredients that I've got in there. I'll show you the mix. That's the mix that I use. It's full of Tiger Nut, full of hemp, loads of snails in there, and it's just, there's not going to be a carp in the country that doesn't want to eat that.
If you're fishing a lot of silty venues, they contain the taste of the boilie on the lake bed. So what I do is, I pop them in an air dry bag, leave them for 3 or 4 days. I don't totally dry them out, but they're dried out enough to absorb a lot of what I want to do. So what I do is, air dry them for a few days, pop them in a bucket, a little bit of lake water. I don't want to drown them, I just want to give them enough so they can absorb it all now. Give them a mix around, and then get some of the krill liquid. Be quite liberal with it because they will soak up quite a bit. Give them a good mix around. Let it soak through, and then they'll be just like they are out of the bucket on the lake bed. That's my top bait tip.
One of my favourite baits is a mixture, not just boilie, a mixture of hemp like this, which is natural with no preservatives in, which is absolutely perfect, ready to go at any time. Corn just speaks for itself. It's caught fish wherever it goes. Boilies, I mean, the sauce here, this is the first time I've got to admit, I've been with Shimano now for 12 months, and it's the first time I've actually used this bait, and it's caught me some big fish, and I've just been blown away with the session. Very pungent bait, and it certainly drawed them into the swim. Pellets as well in the mix. Again, sauce. I just want flavour, attractants, just to draw them fish in the margins. When the mix is put together, it looks like this. There's all different densities of baits there, so some will drop through the weeds, some will sit on top of the weeds, so when the carp come in, they'll just clear the spot and polish it off. And if you're on a waterway, you want to create your own clear spots. A mix like this is absolutely perfect for it.
For those of you that use cork ball pop-ups for your hinge stiffs and chods, you know they can be really expensive. Well, Dynamite have fetched out two fantastic products, which means you can make your own cork ball pop-ups. They do the sauce kit, and they also do the Crave base mix kits. Basically all this has got is enough base mix and liquids to make plenty of cork ball pop-ups. The first step of making your cork ball pop-up is crack one egg. Give it a good mix. Once you've gotten that a good mix, you need to add your liquid. Your base mix bag contains your liquid. As you can see there's plenty of liquid there. The recommended dosage is 5 mils per egg, but I like boosted up baits, so 15 mil for me. So that's 15 mil straight in there. We'll get rid of the liquid now. You don't need that until the end. Give that a good mix. You need to make sure you've gave the flavour a nice even mix so all the egg has got your flavour. And then what I like to do is add 1 sachet of the egg white powder. You can buy this from Tesco's. Basically all it does is just give your baits a hard skin and toughens them up, because you're only using a few mil of paste around the cork ball, so it needs to be hard. That's that one. Give that a good mix as well. You need to mix it until all your egg white powder has formed a nice consistency with your egg and your flavour. You don't need to be neat, you can get messy, but the stuff stinks, remember, so I wouldn't do it on your kitchen side. And then what I like to do is I always ensure I sieve my base mix, because you're only putting a couple of mil of paste around it, you do not want the big bits of the bird food in your hook bait. On your hook baits, you just want to draw the fish in to nick that bite. So I've pre-sieved that, we'll get that out of the way. And what I've got here is lovely, fine, no big bits, perfect for making your cork balls. And all I do is I slowly add that to my egg and flavour. Give it a good stir. It'll start to form, as you can see, it's just starting to form now. Keep adding your base mix. Little and often, until you start to form a paste. It's nearly time to get your hands in, which is the really, really messy part. And both the base mixes, the sauce and the Crave, do stink, so. But they catch fish, and that's what we're here to do. so we shouldn't worry about smells really, even though you'll have it on your hands for the next week. So time to get my hands in now. And as you can see, it should be the texture where you can actually pick it all off the ball. A nice tacky consistency. Get some 12mm cork balls, depending what size hook baits you want. I use a 12mm cork ball. These ESP ones are fantastic because they've really got lots of little indentations and stuff that make the paste really stick to it. So what you do then is you get a bit of paste, just give it a quick roll in your hands. No need for a rolling machine or a rolling table, anything like that. There you go. That's my first cork ball. Perfect. Now it's time to boil them. If you boil them for around about a minute, I like to air dry mine for a couple of weeks, and then once they've rock hard, like marbles, I hydrate them with a bit of the sauce liquid just to bring them back up to full attraction. So all I do is I leave them there, drying in the sun. They can stay there for a few hours, or if I'm on a longer session, they can stay there till I go home, and then keep rehydrating them as you need or as you when. Put different liquids on, whichever you fancy, and then they're ready to use. They'll catch you some fish.
Even though I love trekking around the margins, stalking fish out the edges, my passion is surface fishing. Even on a big lake like this, of 26 acres plus, if you look with the sun out on the back of the wind, you might always find a few fish to have a go at. The setup I love using is this 12-foot tribal flouter rod. It's a 2-pound test curve rod. Stiff in the butt, soft in the tip, which is perfect for not going in up pulls like you would get with picking a rod up off your pod and trying to have a bit of flouter fishing with that. The reel, it's the Ultegra 5500. Small body, oversized spool. So it's perfect for punching those controllers that little bit extra distance than any other reels that you'd be using for surface fishing. On the spool itself, I've got Shimano Tribal 12-pound line. Great line for surface fishing, I've found. And I even use it on my hook lengths as well because it's really strong and robust. That's it for showing you the kit now. I'm going to see if I can put it into practice and try and catch one off the surface. I've been itching now for a fair while. The conditions are perfect where I have been having a little look around and I have seen a few fish. So let's see if this rod can bend round with one on, eh? This is just a bit of end foil. The reason for this is, as soon as I strike, I want that line to pick up off the surface straight away and just connect with the fish. I don't want the line sinking because you're just picking the line up through water first before you hook in, and I've got to recast because then going mental. I'm sorry I'm a bit quiet guys, but the concentration levels at the minute staring at that float out there with the size of the fish when I'm taking these expander pellets, I just can't take my eyes off the float at any time at the moment, not with the amount of fish we're around. That's the beauty of a soft rod like this.
the Shimano floater rod. It's only £2 test curve, but you got less chance of hook pulls with such a soft rod. This is art in the mouth stuff now. If you're using any kind of other rod for this, like £3, £2.5 test curves, I wouldn't be able to give this half as much.
That's a whacker, that's a whacker.
Oh man! Well done, bud. Oh, that definitely made me PB off the top. That is a lot. Make me PB in off the top and
anyway.
biggest fish, yeah. Oh my god. Off the top. Told you it was my favourite method.
Well, what a way to finish. We started with a whacker, we finished with a whacker. We're Team Tribal. Thank you very much for watching. Yeah!